Hey, I still got the weird intro music that you don't like, Mike. What do you guys think of that?
I like it. Just I feel
Dramatic.
dangerous about it.
I think your other one was better. I'm not
I think you might be right. I do like the little orange at the bottom of it, though. I might keep that.
Yeah.
But I want to find something that's like so exciting that it's ultimately ridiculous whenever you pop back and just see all of our relaxed faces, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
dancing like that would be a really good intro. Yep, there you go. Make a gift.
So anyway, this is the Full 42 special episode on Thursday. Normally we're on Mondays, but we've got Brad Brooks and Peter Vaughan here from Cardboard Alchemy. Cardboard Alchemy.
Cardboard Academy.
It's a hard one.
Whatever.
Hard one.
Whatever.
Corkboard Academy, something. Yeah.
That's your younger version of it.
And we're gonna be interrogating them, trying to find out what evil deal they made with the devil to make, what is it, $2,097,247 on Kickstarter with almost 30,000 backers for Flamecraft, right?
Yep.
Pretty amazing.
Thank you.
So we're gonna basically get all the advice and secrets. We have some questions from Facebook. People have put up. I know you saw some of those. If not all of them. And of course, if anybody's watching right now, you can ask questions. We'll get them in there, and you two can have $2 million Kickstarter.
That's right. It's that easy, everybody.
That's all you're gonna do. You're gonna watch this, and then
I'm going to tell every single person who asks me later, just go watch the full 42 episode where we clearly say step by step of how to do it.
Step by step. Step 1, get a game with dragons on it. Step 2, something or another. Step 3,
I said the words. Basically, I said the words.
I did hear in the beginning of the episode that if everyone stays till the end, all they're going to have to do is send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and you will send them the magic potion that you used, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Sure. Well, just send us an envelope with $1 in it, and if we get 2 million of you, then
they'll send back a notice and telling you how to do that. Exactly.
It feels like it's straight up basic math.
Yeah.
I like it.
Before we get into the whole hows and whys and stuff, I have a couple episodes back. We did a episode with The Gathering, and we asked a bunch of people 20 lightning round questions. A lot of those people, like Alan Moon and Eric Lang, I should have started naming them. Now, if I don't get them all, someone's going to be upset, right? Whole bunch of people go and watch that. But I got the same 20 questions here.
I don't know the answer to the middle one.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So I'm going to ask Mike. We got your answers on the last one, so I'm just asking Brad and Peter, and we'll just bounce back and forth. Brad first, then Peter. Right. All right. So first question, lightning round. You get one comic book superpower. What would it be?
So I would do being able to rewind time.
It's a good one.
Instant replay.
Peter?
That would probably be my first pick also. Definitely time travel. I like the series in Heroes where he can... I love that interpretation of time travel. But if I had to give another one, I would go with maybe Mystique's power to be able to turn into anyone.
Ooh, it's sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, coffee or tea?
That's so easy for me. Hands down tea. I love the smell of coffee, but it tastes disgusting.
Brad?
Tea, if anything, but I'm really not a hot drink person. So.
All right. Sleeved or unsleeved?
Unsleeved.
Unsleeved. Although we make all our games for sleeved, if you like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I dislike that even exists. Okay. Cookie or cupcake?
Cupcake has the word cake in it, so I'm definitely on the cake appreciation side.
It's cookie all the way, definitely. Crispy too, not about the fluff of a cupcake.
Nice. DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
I would, if DC could get their act together in movies, I might pick them again someday, but it's Marvel forever now.
Fair enough. 1 2-hour game or 4 30-minute games?
Probably 1 2-hour.
1 2-hour. Although there's such a thing as fun density, which we've talked about before, getting the most out of those 2 hours. But if it's a good game, I take the big one.
Right. I mean, it depends on which one, right? You don't want to get 4 turns in that 2-hour game.
If it was like 4 King of Tokyo or 1 Dwellings of Eldervale, I'd pick Dwellings of Eldervale in a second.
Right.
Yeah.
Beard or mohawk?
Mohawk, because I've already got the beard. And I can't do the mohawk.
Yeah, I'll say beard.
You get the Van Dyke.
I don't think I could do a mohawk. Although, I do want to dye my hair some funky color, but I don't think I could ever do mohawk.
I could do a side mohawk.
Yeah, I don't have enough to be a sad looking one.
Can I ask questions for a second?
What's that?
I have a request.
Okay.
Can one of the social stretch goals for the next Kickstarter that you guys are doing is something about dyeing your hair a funky color or coming up with a mohawk? Because that would be that should be a thing.
This may be a thing that we do. I might do this on our Discord. Because
faux hawk where you put moose in it and just make it all spiked up.
There you go. Yeah.
Are you asking that the goal is that the reward is that we do it or that we ask other people to do it?
Yeah.
I think so. Maybe if it's like 500 shares of people doing it, that you guys would do it.
Got it.
Okay. Next is deck building or worker placement.
Oh, that is the hardest question so far. Wow. Can I get a deck builder and a worker placement in the same game?
Or.
Oh, man.
Probably worker placement.
Yeah, I think worker placement beats out deck building, but it's so close. It's
very
so
slightly.
close.
Cape or tights?
Cape.
Yeah, I'd say cape as well, but
even though no capes, still.
Yeah. No
Even
cape
though no
is
capes.
incredible. We have to go tights. There's no capes.
Role-playing game or escape room?
Wow. What?
I'm gonna go role-playing game. This is an easy one for me, but
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm. So I think I played D&D for the first time in 1976. So it's been
changed a
an
little since then.
extremely long time, and I'm it made me the person I am. But there's
you're
something
better
about a
at-
tactile experience
Mm-hmm.
of an escape room that's
I've been in an escape room with Brad. He's quite the puzzle solver, so I think you're good at it.
Very cool. Indiana Jones or Han Solo?
see, this was the one.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's a tough one. Also,
I'll say
That one
Han
got-
Solo.
That one got everybody so much. Which one did you say?
Han Solo.
Han Solo is probably for me too. Yeah,
All right. That hurts. Yeah, every time, no matter what anybody says.
I know, right? It hurts. I want to say Indy now. I want to watch Indy.
You might have already kind of answered this. You have the ability to time travel once. Did you go to and come back? Do you go to the future or do you go to the past?
I guess the future.
Curious how far into the future.
So, not to get too much of a downer or anything, but I probably want to go farther in the future than anyone I know because I wouldn't want to find out something sad about, I don't know, like my kids or friends or something like
Interesting.
that, right?
That's fair.
So I would want to go far enough in the future also that there's a significant change so that it would be interesting, right? If you go 20 years in the future and it feels exactly like today, that would just be a wasted trip.
But like 200 years, you might get something really cool.
Yeah.
Peter?
Clearly, I did go back in the past and I set the Flamecraft thing in motion. Actually, I botched the first couple of attempts to be, like to have a nice house or whatever. I botched a lot of the trips back. I feel like it's Bill and Ted's. I basically screwed up a lot, but I got one.
But then Peter went back in time 29,872 times in order to pledge under a different email each time. Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's the secret.
That's
Right there.
Okay. Would you use your time travel abilities to make a game you know will be successful?
No.
I mean, if I'm going to go 200 years in the future, why not? Who am I, I don't feel like I'm really hurting anybody at that point.
I would do other things. Games I think are actually fun to discover right when you're discovering them. I wouldn't say go make. I mean, I already want to make the next Gloomhaven. I don't need to go make Gloomhaven. I'm just gonna make it, but without knowing, the intricacies of any one game. I think I would just I do other things with the time travel for sure.
What's funny is I wrote that question with the thought in mind, like if I went back in time and wanted to do that, I'd probably do it with I don't know, Ticket to Ride. And then the first person to sit down to answer these questions is Alan Moon. And he said yes, he would do it. So now we know where Ticket to Ride came from originally. He stole it from someone else after he went back in time.
Nice.
There you go.
Cat or dog?
Currently dog. Grew up with cats, but have dogs now, and I can't say anything different or they'll hear me.
Dogs are in their claws, not going with it.
I would probably pick cat, except I'm deathly allergic, so it's default dog. And I can't wait to get one. I actually have been meaning to get one for a while, and that's what I'm gonna.
Even though you're allergic?
No, I'm allergic to cats. Dogs are fine.
Dog.
So it's dog for sure.
Do you have a nickname? And if not, can you create one right now?
I do have one.
Go for it. You go.
Well, when I was a kid, people used to make fun of my last name. It's really funny. You know how kids will take anything? So they had Vaughan, and they couldn't figure out what to do with it. So they said, Peter Vaughan, James Bond, which was stupid because I was like, thank you. That's actually really awesome. So I added 007 to my name. It's on my BGG. It's not on my BGG, but it's on almost every other social media handle. I've ever since taken it. I took it to a whole new level when I named my son James. So.
Oh, wow.
So that you can do it all the way.
I've never thought of that. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Very nice.
Brad?
Okay, well, then that makes me think. So somebody did come up with one. It didn't catch on. It didn't go any farther than one utterance. But it was Bad Books. So just take the R out of.
Yeah.
Okay. Dawn or dusk?
Dusk. Dawn comes early.
The sunsets are awesome at dusk, but I'm going to pick dawn because the entire day is ahead, so it's awesome. Right? You get a lot of stuff done when everyone's still groggy. Yeah.
Number 17, you have to get a hug from either Voldemort or Emperor Palpatine. Which is it? A nice good hug.
Oh man, this is a weird question.
I think I'd probably survive a hug from Voldemort because I don't think he'd let me in that close if he planned on killing me.
I was going to go Voldemort also because that means everything in the Potterverse exists, which means I got some spells. So yeah, I'm going with that.
Okay.
You could be a muggle in the Potterverse.
Oh,
no, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then why would Voldemort have taken any notice of us?
Right.
He just wants a hug. Maybe he's a sweet guy.
He did actually hug what's his name, Malfoy,
Rico, yeah.
and it was very awkward. He's did that kind of thing. Real time game or take that game?
Real time.
Take that.
I think I could have guessed that. Both of those answers. Millennium Falcon or Enterprise?
These are good for your show. I love this, actually, this question series.
Thank you.
Millennium Falcon, because it implies a more independent, adventure.
This is the first time I'm ever going to pick Trek over Star Wars in my whole life, but I'm going Enterprise.
Wow. Why? What's the reason behind it?
What was that?
What's the reason behind it?
I don't know. I would love to be on the Enterprise with, say, Picard, or I would just there's a fun. I even love the new Star Trek with the Kirk that's played by Chris. Yeah, yeah. I think that there's just something fun about that. Whereas I feel like the Millennium Falcon, although it'd be cool in some of the. It's just a smaller crew. I don't know what the holodeck, and I want the whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah, the community and stuff. That's why I would pick Enterprise. Also, I think we just got to see the cool parts of Han's life. I think for the most part, he just lives like a trucker. I don't.
Yeah,
that's true.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
but he gets to decide where to go, right? Like when you go here,
That's
when you go there. The Enterprise, it's like you get your orders, you go wherever.
Well,
if you really think about it,
supposed to go.
Sure.
Well, sure, and then you just use your charisma to,
And then, yeah,
no, we're actually going off this way in search of green women or whatever it is that floats your boat that week.
And it also depends on which Enterprise, right? Like the Enterprise D had. Did you know it had a dolphin on board with a whole aquarium?
No.
Bowling alleys, right? Like
Wow.
every kind of sports and stuff, equipment, like whole arenas and stuff. It's ridiculous.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know about bowling alleys and like gravitational Coriolis effects and all. Yeah, I'm not sure that
when
one
we
really works.
made Mission Catastrophe, we studied a lot of movies about different ship constructions. There was a movie that it had a different Chris in it. He was abandoned on the ship and he woke up early.
Oh, Chris
Pratt,
right?
on,
Chris Pratt was in there.
Passengers.
Chris Pratt, yeah.
Chris Pratt was in there.
Passengers.
That had so many different rooms and things in there. I was like analyzing that, like, wow, their entertainment system. They had like tons of interesting stuff going on in that.
Great movie. All right, final question. If you could design a game with someone you've never worked with before, and they can't be on the show, and it's someone you've never worked with before, like I said, who would it be?
Go for it, Peter.
I would almost say, Antoine Bauza, but we did work with him before on a French letter tycoon that's never been released.
Yep.
God, I hope we release that someday. That would be amazing. There's definitely some people in the, I've sort of gotten very lucky where we've gotten a lot of, got to work with a lot of great people already. But like in the Euro sense, I feel like most of the time I've been coordinating with people in America. So I definitely would pick someone who's got, some interesting designs across the pond, right?
But who?
Right. Since I worked a little bit with Bowser, I would.
Say as many names as you can, so Brad won't have any to say.
I mean, I was gonna say it's probably someone with the name of Bruno, but I don't know.
Oh, if you said Cathalo, then Katia would love you even more.
I know that's her pick.
Yep.
I mean, it's funny. Like a lot of people I know. I know, for example, Luke Laurie is a big Feld fan. I don't particularly play a lot of Feld games or whatever, so I wouldn't necessarily pick like the drier, crunchier heroes. But I'm trying to think of someone who would be very interesting is the designer of Gongshang Clever and Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh, Wolfgang Warts?
Warsh.
Yeah, I think that whatever Wolfgang's got, he has the secret potion for designing games right now, right? So many great hits. So probably would love to figure out what's going on over there.
Yeah, I think like 2019 was his year, right?
Right.
I think it was 19. Maybe it was 18, but yeah. Brent?
You would think with all the time that
you had a little time.
I definitely gave you.
Yeah. Wow. I'll pick something obscure. I'll pick Henry Stern.
Oh, where do I know that name from?
He's only got one credit, and it's Vegas Showdown.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mike, you know we're still rolling, right? What are you doing over there?
I'm gonna do the show for you in the corner.
You know, that makes me wonder about, you know, what would be a fun show is people who designed one game and X number of years have passed or whatever, just to kind of look at, you know, because I always think of it as a hobby where you just keep going, you do more, you just want to do more. But there's definitely some people who hey, we just made one thing and that was a circumstance done.
So you mean like not someone who made one game, got it out there, and they've made other games but can't get any more out. But you mean like someone who made a game and said that was cool and walked away and didn't.
Right. Like because I'll give you an example. Not that this is the case per se, because I actually know the Word Doom designer, Mike Horton, has other games that he's cooking up. But for example, if he came out and just did Word Doomed and then went back to his film career, just had to get that out, you know, I bet there's other cases of people who just do that one title.
I can't imagine not having ideas for games. It's every day. Every single thing you do, it's like, this could be a game. That could be a game.
I know, right?
So the reason I was turning around is you mentioned Wolfgang Warsch, and there's an underrated game by him that came in under the radar called Fuji that was super fun. This you're trying to escape the lava as the lava is trying to creep up. Look into it. It was really, if you like his designs like Taverns and Quacks, like what he does in games, Fuji is super fun.
Very cool. So check that out.
All right, so let's get to nobody knows where any of your stuff is. All in plastic, still behind you.
That is.
Now, if I had to name someone who watches the show, I'm going to pick Daryl Andrews.
Oh, well, that should be easy. He works with everyone.
I mean, Daryl actually has such a story he has so many games. It's very interesting. Be very curious about his process and everything. I know he's working with Katya, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And Mike, right? Aren't you?
Oh, nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a couple.
Like I said, he works with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
He's actually working with you right now, Peter. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
Wow, making the next cardboard alchemy game, is he?
He doesn't care how low on the totem pole you are. He'll work with people even like me.
Okay, good to know.
Very nice.
So there's a limit because he's not worked with me yet.
Oh, okay.
Have you asked him?
No. I'm still waiting for our game to be done, but somebody won't work on it.
Yeah, I worked on it. It's all done.
Okay, cool.
Hey,
First I've heard about it. Anyway, moving on to Flamecraft. Whole reason for the show and everything. We got people who can ask questions if they want, but basically, big success. How'd you do it? Everybody wants to know. First of all, I'm going to say, because I know both of you guys, and I know what all you did to lead up to it. This is not a lottery win. This is not a lightning in a bottle kind of thing. This was a lot of hard work on your part. I saw you just working nonstop, 24/7 almost, for months to get this done. So anybody just goes, oh, they just threw a bunch of money at it, or they just hit a lucky thing and stuff. That's not the case. And that's why I want to have this video, just so that people can hear all the stuff that you actually
Those comments are out there for sure. I mean,
the jealous people that don't know what they're talking about.
It looks like it. It looks like it for sure. I mean, we've joked around on the internet that it's just magic, but there is actually some science as well.
Yeah. So let's dig into it. I know you've got some numbers that you wouldn't mind sharing, letting us know some stuff. I can also. We have some questions from the Facebooks if you want me to.
Well, I'll start off with some numbers because I pulled some fun factoids type stuff. First of all, as people probably know, this is the biggest Kickstarter that I've ever been involved in, or Brad's ever been involved in, Manny's ever been involved in, all the people on our team have ever been involved in. But I actually, so one of the things I wanted to say is that if there was a secret formula, we would just do that every time, right? There isn't a secret formula. Although if there is one, it's probably dragons. But there's not a secret formula. But I don't know if everyone knows this, but I have run 8 so far. This is let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 8th one. So in that sense, if you look at it that way, my very first campaign was What the Food, which was a cafeteria food fight to the death, which raised 22,601 with 431 backers. And I made that game, and I got that game out there, and I hawked it for years in the convention circuit. And I
was that 2013?
It was 2013.
That was when we met.
Yep. And I actually asked you, Chris, for advice because you'd already been on Kickstarter, and that's how I started. I started asking people for advice. How'd you do it? Which is a really great way for people to start. If anyone's watching this and you want to know what should you do, you should actually reach out to Kickstarter creators. And of the ones you think are like your game or are following your path, and you can say, hey, I've got questions about X, Y, and Z. Some people will tell you to go away, and some people will actually answer that question. I find that most Kickstarter creators are ready to answer that question. And
most are.
Yeah. So it was 4 years later before I did Rise of Tribes with Brad. Brad was Brad's game and with Breaking Games. Rise of Tribes raised $386,000 with about almost 6,000 backers. Rise of Tribes was another one of those kind of like, I don't know how that happened per se, because we didn't know what to expect, but the combination of art and a hook mechanism just was a good combo, right? So I did a talk a couple of years ago where I said that you need on Kickstarter, there's a flashiness to it. You need something, right? You either need, a lot of people use minis, but sometimes it's a cool mechanism that no one's seen before. Sometimes it's art, and sometimes it's all of those things together. Hey, how's it going, Katya? It's good to see you.
We're missing Katya today. She's unable to join us.
Just to finish the rest of them, I did Sparkle Kitty Nights the year after Rise of Tribes, and that was with Manny Vega also. And we also thought that was going to be lightning in a bottle, but it wasn't. But it still raised 53,000 with 1,000 backers ish, but it wasn't what we thought it was going to do, and it was using some of the same things that we did in Flamecraft. After that, I went on to launch Dwellings of Eldervale, which raised over $500,000 for another 5,500 backers. Dwellings of Eldervale, I think, could have done better, and I think was poised to do better, and I had done way more work to get it there.
Right. Yep, there, the bottom of it, right there.
I think Dwellings of Eldervale could have launched to be $1 million, but right when we hit the launch button, I already knew what the mistakes were. Like I could. It's like if you're in a sprint and you're running in a 100-meter dash, and the gun goes off, and you actually can tell that you just misstepped. Like Dwellings, I knew wasn't going to hit $1 million. I was like, whoops! I want to redo because I actually think we could have done it.
That's where you need that comic superpower.
Yeah.
What? Then we did.
Wait. Before you move forward, what was the misstep?
It's funny too because that's when I met Katya. We had done such a good job of previewing Dwellings for 6 months of time, and we had talked to everybody about it, and then. The one thing that I didn't do is I didn't preview that page with other people. And all of the questions that happened in that first week, which were like, wait, the legendary doesn't have this. And people were it just hit the stumbling block. And one of the things that was just to give an example, we didn't have our shipping with VFI figured out. So the shipping to China and Japan and all these Asian countries was awful. So all those people who came day one and then they left, right? And Mike Vanderveen's chiming in. There was missing info on the campaign page for Dwellings because we just didn't have the staff. We launched because we felt pressured to launch because it was a week late. So I could tell that one we made up for it, like with a lot of community. Like Chris was on that campaign. We chatted with people. We convinced them to come by. We worked to get that game to where it was. But anyway, the other thing is I ran 3 campaigns in 2020, and 2 of them were with Brad. One was Rise of Tribes, Peace and Bronze, which is actually Brad's game, but that was also with Breaking Games. That was the early part of 2020. Then in 2020, in the middle of the year, we launched Cardboard Alchemy's very first Kickstarter, which was an introduction Kickstarter. It was a, hey, nice to meet you, building of our first list of people. We just wanted to talk to people. We did coasters, custom art, and we did game trays. That was a way of saying, these are the things we believe in, really great art and great components. And then towards the end of 2020, we launched Mission Catastrophe in the middle of possibly the worst time ever, like the election of 2020. That was like the dumbest time. But we really wanted to put a Kickstarter on the books for Cardboard Alchemy, so we launched it. And then we launched this one. So
we don't have your logo represented, so just...
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I just want to say, like, if you look at all of those campaigns and you say, well, you know, why don't you just do what you did on Flamecraft for those? Obviously, we would have, right?
Right.
It's a totally different ball game. Every time you go to bat, Kickstarter is different. But as a fun fact, I did total that up. Before Flamecraft, and not including Cafe Chaos, which I didn't run, but also raised almost $1 million, I did raise $1,287,895,000 before Flamecraft.
So
And now,
all the previous ones were less.
all the previous ones added up to 1,287,000.
Seven different ones, you said?
7 different ones before that.
By the way, sidestep. When is this coming out? Because I love this.
Oh man, I know that's really cool.
Stay tuned.
Ooh.
And now Flamecraft blew us away. It was 8,388% funded. So I mean, it was like, it's a sort of an anomaly in the sense that after seeing enough of these, you know, you plan for, hey, can we pull off another Rise of Tribes? Can we avoid X but get Y? But then, of course, when it goes ballistic, you go, wow. Hey, how's it going? We got Will in here. We got a bunch of people who backed the campaign chiming in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Just really quickly before we move on to something else, I want to tell everyone I did look at some other campaigns for people that I admire as well. Like, for example, I've always looked at Orange Nebula as a company that I admire, and I can reference that later in sort of some of the things we did. But I looked at Vindication, and the very first one raised $211,000, and then their first one was canceled. Then they raised $211,000. Then they launched it again and raised $823,000. Then they launched Unsettled for over $1 million. So it is definitely a buildup. You can't start and go there. You have to build up your community, and you have to do several things, obviously, to get that to go.
Right.
The other one is I looked at Role Player, because Role Player was Thunderworks' second campaign. And it was only $50,000, but then that was a retail monster after that, right? It kept going in retail, and he then changed his 5th, his 8th, and his 10th Kickstarter to be about Role Player and that universe, and just kept raising more and more for Role Player. So it definitely builds up. Kickstarter is not usually it's not, you can just drop something and it goes.
So that's building an audience with campaign after campaign after campaign in a way. But yes. How did you, like, before you launched Flamecraft, you had 5,600 people signed up, right?
Right. True.
So that audience didn't just come from that, obviously.
And a funny story about that too is that I had never paid that much attention to the people waiting before. This is sort of on Mission Catastrophe, we literally had nobody waiting, and that was a giant mistake. I didn't put any value on that. I actually said, "Oh well, I've done Dwellings of Eldervale, and we don't need people waiting. You just you can launch and use a network and email list and stuff like that." But I saw Glenn Trover doing Mosaic, right? I saw that in January of 2021. And I saw that he had 6,000 people waiting. And I actually think that by May, he had 10,000 people waiting. And of course, Mosaic launched very well and did fine. Great on Kickstarter. And I kept staring at that. I was like, ooh, how did he get all those people waiting? And that's the key. You gotta have the Kickstarter notification when you launch. And that's what I started working on, how we're gonna get that.
I've heard that 2,000 is the number you want to fund but is 5,600 the number you want to get 2 million?
Well, I know that, Glenn had more than us and they didn't get that, but it just depends on. The other thing about that is that when you have that list of people that's waiting, how much are they, how invested are they, right? Did you get that list? Is that list, like I looked at it and Glenn's conversion, not to focus too much on Mosaic, but it was 25%. I looked at how many people came in from that list. It was 25%. So I kept thinking, okay, we're going to get 25% of whatever the amount waiting is. I think we did better than that.
A little bit.
Yeah, of our followers.
But so we mostly focused on, and I think this is true if you think about what Richard Bliss says about Kickstarter. If you have a crowdfunding, your problem is usually not the funding, it's the crowd. How are you going to get the crowd? And with anything, you're looking at, do you have an IP? Do you have past backers? Do you have, are you working the tables at conventions? How are you going to find the people? And in this particular case, with conventions down and whatnot, we focused on, first of all, finding an art community that was already excited about Sandara's work. That's where we started to build from, right? We knew those people had seen her art before and wanted more of that.
Yeah, so you brought in new backers. Total, you had 29,500 or something like that. You brought in a total of 2,073 new people to Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter ought to pay you some of that. But that's a huge amount. Do you think that those 2,000 are basically from Sandara's community that might not have been involved in Kickstarter previously?
I think that's the major contributor to it, to that number, right?
I mean, there's new ones in almost every successful campaign, I'm sure. But
sure,
I did see.
Yeah, but I think that was a big influence there.
It was their first time backing, like first time backer, so excited to whatever. It was amazing to see.
Yeah, and had we thought that through, there probably would have been more information on day one as to like, hey, welcome to Kickstarter. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what you should do next. Here's what you should expect, right?
I actually polled the Full 42 Discord about whether or not that was a necessary. It's like, should we put a how to do this? And I was like, nah, everyone's got this.
Well, I mean, to be fair, 2,000 is still what, like 9% of your total.
It is true.
Do you put up a graphic taking up some portion of your page for only 9%? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But your page was already, a mile long.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you would have stuck that.
Right.
This is the secret, everybody.
Everything needed to be at the top.
Yeah.
Super long page.
Yeah.
Don't shorten the page. Make people scroll until they just go, fine, I'm going to back.
That is interesting, actually. I wonder, I remember myself just going through the page, like, oh my God, like you sold me, 30% through, but there's still so much more. Do I need to? And I don't think, as a user, if I wasn't attached in any way to being friends and stuff like that, that I would have. I think at 30%, I would have been like, yeah, you got me, and go. But I wonder who required all 100% of that page before they went, okay, fine, like I'll back.
We still got grilled. It's like, I've read the whole thing and I still have questions for you. Like, are you going to have testing done on all the components? Yes. Okay. But what kind of testing? It's like, okay, listen, are you in? Come on, we're going to do the testing.
Yeah, I mean, that it possibly also, I mean, all the information needs to be there. But of course, the longer it is, the more chance that somebody asks a question that is there. It's just they never got to the place to find it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I definitely think it was long, but that's how I roll. Long pages.
I know.
Wow.
Can't fault you. I mean, you've got the track record to show that it works, right? I mean, especially for Flamecraft. I think it might have been the longest one you've ever had.
I think it's the longest one. I was looking at dwellings. When you have like variable player powers, which of course I love to do, you want to talk about each faction. And here we want to talk about each dragon and each shop. I resisted talking about all the shops. Like I said, all right, we'll just do one section. But like seriously, I want to show it all. The art is great across the board.
Yeah, it is amazing.
That's great, Katya. Yeah, we appreciate it. There's something that we did. We did know that there were going to be new backers. We did know that Sendara's fans were going to come in and not know what Kickstarter was. So one of the things we did, we could talk about this, is we built a Facebook group and invited them to that group and started talking and having polls that said, have you ever backed before? And started answering some early questions. We didn't answer enough questions based on what we saw when we got to the Kickstarter, but we did try.
So
there are two things that stood out to me, and I'm sure we'll get to it, and we talked a little pre-show about comments being made about, oh, they just dumped money at it and they just threw money at it. And I know we kind of, like, this was on our radar because we knew you, but this was on our radar months before. And we talked pre-show about it being extremely organic. And I think there's two things that happened with this one. One, you have a track record, right? So the track record of other Kickstarter campaigns and the community you built there and the communication you had with these people, like, that transfers. And then your interaction with prior to the campaign launching was so genuine and so on point that it invited people. It had people talking. Your puzzle community, they were helping each other. Like, there was no, like, I don't want to tell you the answer because I want the thing. I don't want you to get the thing. But, like, you guys were chiming in and people were, it was all just so naturally well done and organic. And I think the combination of both those things didn't require you to just start throwing money at banners and sponsored ads and stuff. It was so well done from months before, from front to back. And then it launched and wow, did that just, everything hit all cylinders.
Thank you for that. I mean, necessity, some other event. We didn't have money to spend. So,
right.
It was kind of a, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this?
So let me.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things we talked about before was the very first Cardboard Alchemy Kickstarter, which wasn't a game. And it's interesting what our plan was for that and what we thought it would do versus what it actually did. Yep. Which was, we had thought months before, we were like, okay, we're not going to have a game until this point. And if we go into launching a Kickstarter cold, we're just not going to have an audience. Why don't we do something that doesn't take a lot of ramp up time? We know we're working with Sergio Chavez. He can make us some art that is, it's not from a game, but it's representative of what the kind of things are that we want to make. And then we've got a connection, with game trays, and we think those would show off like the level of production that we're talking about, right? So let's just do a Kickstarter that shows those two things, and we'll take a loss on it, right? We'll make this crazy deal where you can come in for $1 and we will send you coasters wherever you are in the world. We'll send you coasters. We limited it so that it didn't, if 30,000 people came in, it wouldn't bankrupt us. But, we said, come on in, we'll give you stuff. We just want, we're going to give you this in exchange for you knowing about us, so that when we come along with a game next time, we won't be unfamiliar to you. And the reality is that we got, 1,038 people on there, and we fulfilled it ourselves. It was all in my house, mailing all of those things out everywhere. So it was really, it was just bare bones.
If you have a couple kicking around, I'll send you my address after the show.
Well, they'll be in the pledge manager. Yeah. So we thought like that was going to be an audience that we could move forward into Mission Catastrophe, and then would flow forward into Flamecraft. And the reality is, there actually isn't that high a percentage of people that moved from one to the other. But conversely, what it did do was it established, like when people went to go look at Flamecraft, they went, "Oh, these guys have already done 2 other Kickstarters, right?"
Right.
And the coasters had fulfilled. We had sent them out to people. The trays had fulfilled. We'd sent them out to people, right? So that wasn't precisely what we were thinking of. We were really thinking that we were building this audience that was going to move forward. That didn't so much happen, but I think in the end it was still worthwhile. And it also allowed us to work through the gears of running the Kickstarter.
I actually wanted to write to all those people. I was like, wait a minute, you backed for coasters, but you knew we were going to launch a game, right? Like we were going to do a game, and then we put the game out there, and then a lot of them didn't go for the game. And I was like, fascinating. To which, we just Mission Catastrophe didn't gel, I guess, for the first one. It's still an amazing game. Maybe we didn't sell it right, or whatever it is, but yeah, the audience doesn't.
Just waiting for that one.
Okay, tell us when the Golem is coming out in a game.
I don't even care what kind. If it's cooperative, I'll get it.
Stop rubbing.
Wow.
God.
By the way,
art.
Since Katya's comment was put up there, thank you for saying that about us, as far as being genuine out there, because that is that is really important to us. I had as one of our topics was community. The fact that we built a Facebook group, a Discord group that we're out there communicating all the time, as many places as we can. That's the type of place I want to go back at, right? Because I mentioned Orange Nebula. I was always a big fan of Jamie Stegmeyer and how open and transparent he was during all of his campaigns, and still is on his newsletter. And I was like, oh yeah, I want to be that kind of campaign to somebody. I want to be somewhere where you can, jump in and ask questions and be part of it, all that stuff.
Well, I mean, it was definitely one of the. I enjoyed interacting with it. The people were fine. There was nothing like. I was there for the interactions between everybody, and you guys would jump in and do your thing, and Manny was there doing his thing.
Yeah.
And like even today, or I think it was today, or the way I get my notifications, maybe it was yesterday, but you went on and you were like, "Hey everyone, how are you doing?" It wasn't like, "Hey, I got something to sell you," or "I have an update," or like something Flamecraft. You were just like, "Hey, how you doing?" And you've really created this community of people that like are now interacting in ways that they would have never met each other, right? They might not have ever come in contact with each other. And now people are on this show that have backed it, that are talking to each other. You recognize people because they were backers. Like that is just absolutely amazing. And I think same thing, it comes across that you guys are genuine. And I don't know you as long as Chris does. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. But,
we got a game together at the table. That'll solidify it.
For sure. Yeah, it everything you did behind the curtain is fascinating. But what came across was absolute genuine nature of who you guys are.
Thanks. I mean,
curious what you guys think of what Retro Flambe is.
Well, what's funny is we do have a bribe. Actually, what's funny, the coaster campaign became our way of saying to people, if you back Mission Catastrophe, we released a robot coaster, but you could buy the previous. You could get the robot coaster for free if you were a previous backer. When we went into Flamecraft, we knew that a lot of people didn't know us, and we were going to get a lot of new audience, and that might not be a big enough offer. So instead, we put out this thing which was meant to be limited, which was if you join our newsletter, you could get the Flamecraft coaster for free. As a little small incentive to the Facebook group to join in. But we left that on. And so during the Kickstarter, people were like, wait, can I just join your newsletter and then get the coaster? It was like, sure. And then all of a sudden, our newsletter, because people were debating me all this time about people waiting at the door on Kickstarter versus building up your newsletter. Well, as it turns out, you can do both. We just put a coaster thing in there. And we built our email list is now they'll probably all unsubscribe as soon as the coaster is delivered. But it was fun to do sort of an incentive, right? Say, hey, yeah, if you've backed us before. And I also put these other little incentives early on where I said, if you've backed us before, I'll give you secret channels on Discord for just the people who've backed Mission Catastrophe, prizes in the Discord every once in a while. Cardboard Alchemy is as a whole. We do sort of a monthly contest where we give away games. This is the place that I would want to be. This is exactly the way I talked about this a lot with Brad. Is like, if I join a Kickstarter, sometimes I check out. Sometimes I don't see anything worth communicating, and that sucks because, I mean, yeah, sure, I can get a good game months later, but what I really want is the ability to go on and feel like there's chat and there's things and there's puzzles and that's what I want. So that's essentially what we want to try and build, right?
Yeah, you got a few weeks in there to create an event, right?
Yep.
And you want people, you know, kind of like the Olympics, right? You don't want people to watch the opening ceremonies and then check out. Like, you got to keep throwing new events at them. You gotta keep them involved, and going back to the like community aspect of it, the fact that everybody came in and was so inspired by this project that they all started chatting with each other. And I mean, we were joking at the end when it got down to the last couple of days. We basically didn't need to answer questions anymore, right? Everybody was answering all of the questions for us. They were, you know, advising.
I was going to say, like,
this
halfway
is how a pledge
through
manager works.
Yeah, halfway through the campaign, I think you guys could have just checked out and no one would have known because they're all in there talking. It's like you're at a party and the person running the party leaves and nobody knows because it's such a good party.
Yeah.
The thing you did with Starbucks or coffees, right, and having them say like post to social media, and then you had like some of the baristas were like not only writing Flamecraft, but some of them like drew a dragon on the damn coffee cup, and it like this is amazing.
So that was another topic I had, which was the community focus was there, but then the campaign interaction part, which I don't like the boring Kickstarters that are out there. So what are the ways you can make a campaign interactive, right? One of the things everyone should keep in mind is that Kickstarter will serve you. Well, Kickstarter will have 48 hours where they'll constantly be showing your page. After that, it's all you. You're on your own after that, right? So during that 48 hours, it's very important to tell people what is going to happen and set the expectation for the whole thing. This is one of the reasons why Dwellings didn't do that right? Because we didn't have the page up entirely. But one of the things that we did on this one is, this is the first time I've ever done it, I don't want social goals to come out of the gate because there's not enough people to do the coffee cup thing until we have until there's enough people. However, for the first time ever, I posted that the social goals will be in this space when we get to this many backers. That way, everyone who came on day one got to see like, oh, there's a thing that's going to happen right here. The other thing we did is we did puzzles that I think someone in the Facebook question said, what was your biggest influencing factor? I think the puzzles is sort of my answer of like, again, these sort of are born out of like, I'm preparing to launch a Kickstarter. What would I want? I would not want the sign up on an email on a website and no interaction. I would want something to do. So whenever we went to Board Game Revolution or Board Game Exposure or whatever it was, we would say, hey, let me tell you about this Kickstarter, but also let me share a puzzle and there's a prize. You can win a mini. Like we did that for 13 weeks. We totally, absolutely, 100% ran with that, right? We said, let's keep this going.
Now I know you already have a few copycats. Maybe I'm one of them. That's asking about puzzles and stuff like that. I think one of the biggest things that I'm worried that is going to happen is that everybody's just going to start doing puzzles, but they're not going to do the social media and Discord and community building behind that. Mm-hmm. So there's just going to be puzzles that you go answer and then nobody talk to and all that, right? I think the secret sauce, at least in my opinion, behind your puzzles is that there was a Discord to go to and go, what is this about? And you could talk to people and get to know people and all that.
The secret sauce is the puzzle solutions with the other people, 100%. That and the prize has to be enough that it's worth it. I'll give you an example. We did Mission Catastrophe, did puzzles, but the prize was a painted set of minis, not necessarily the exclusive mini. And the puzzles that we did for Dwellings and for Flamecraft were another mini that you'd have to pay for. That's our answer to early birds, which I hate. I hate feeling like, oh, I came 48 hours later and I don't get the thing. That sucks.
Right.
So with that, we were like, let's pick something cool, which is a mini, and let's actually have you solve puzzles. And everyone can still buy that mini. It's not like you have to do the puzzles. And there's been some hate mail about the puzzles. Like, oh my God, why are you making me do puzzles? But for the most part, people enjoy that little, oh, I did a thing and I'm unlocking another thing, right? That's really fun.
But I didn't have to do the puzzle. The puzzle was not mandatory. Like you could do $5
not at all.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we were worried that the puzzles were too hard. So we did an easy puzzle out of the. We did 7 puzzles, and we made one of them a word search. It's really the easiest puzzle you could possibly have. And that was sort of a way of saying, like, if anyone said, oh my God, I can't play, or it's not in my language, the word search was literally, there was no language barrier, and it was very easy. And so you'd have to go out of your way to not get the mini, I think, because you could also probably ask the community, and someone would probably just tell you or help you.
Guide you along.
Yeah. I think though, I mean, we, if you look at, because we did puzzles for Mission Catastrophe, you talk about people copying it. There is certainly room for people to take this idea and go other places with it, right? Like when we were doing it for Mission Catastrophe, it was important to us to make puzzles that taught you how to play the game, right? So in our mind, it was important that when you did this puzzle, it was also kind of showing you how the game worked. And that wasn't the case with Flamecraft. Like we abandoned that. We were just like, theme, you were in, here's something that's related to this particular kind of dragon, but it's got nothing to do with how you play the game.
Right.
But I think the point that the criticism Peter brought up earlier about, we didn't even think about the fact that that all of the puzzles were pretty much English focused, right? And I think we were 56% US backed, which means, we had a significant portion. Now, granted, a large part of that outside the US is also English speaking, but there were a lot of people that were coming from other countries that English wasn't their first language. And, we probably in retrospect should have come up with some puzzles that were numerical or just didn't have a language, component to it. And we've learned that. We'll pay attention to that next time. We did actually make a change to one of the puzzles in order to make it colorblind friendly, right? We missed that as well, the jewelry puzzle. So
I don't know what she agrees with me, because these are delayed a little bit.
You're worried about how it might be misused, possibly.
Oh, I see. I just like to show anytime someone agrees with me. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll give a secret sauce.
It doesn't happen that often. That's why.
I'll give everybody a secret sauce part of the puzzles. So you can have this one. The temptation is to make an easy puzzle, right? Because you want people to not get frustrated. Frustration is actually the key. You need to have someone have a reason to ask someone else how it works. You actually have to create the dialogue. The day that we did that really easy puzzle, everyone just did it and logged off. I mean, there was literally no discussion. The best ones were like, I can't figure this one out. Give me a hint.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Part of it is the community interacting about that.
So for people who weren't involved in the whole community, the whole campaign and stuff, who's left? But if they were living under a rock for a month, right, or a few months, basically you had puzzles on your website, and they were different things. They can go to your campaign and still look at those puzzles, right?
They're currently off, but we're going to put a page up where it's actually have those puzzles and some past puzzles from Mission Catastrophe, so that everyone can play.
So you had puzzles up. People would go to them, they'd try them out, and you'd have on there, go to the Discord or to the Facebook group to ask for hints and stuff like that. You had a whole room that had like a bot in there that kind of told you if you got it right and stuff. That was fascinating. Like you had a lot of support and places for people to go and interact, right? It wasn't just you made a word search and put it on a website and said, check it out.
One, I happen to, both Brad and I both have programmed before, and I love digging. Discord has really fascinated me. Like I think I still get really sort of interested in what people have done with different Discords. I go to different Discords, I study what they've done, and so one time I saw this thing where you emoted on a sentence and then you got a roll, and I was like, ooh, that's cool. I wonder if I can make it so that you emote on a status and you become a puzzler. And once you're a puzzler, you can see the secret hallway. And once you're in the secret hallway, you just speak the right word to get into the secret room. I was just like, this sounds fun to do. Yep. This sounds like a game in it. Like, I'm just like, let's build a game on Discord.
Are your dogs okay over there?
Yeah, so the answer is dogs, not cats. Just wanted to prove the point.
Nice.
Here's another question.
Do you move people from off Facebook to the Discord channels? I put different incentives in different places. So one of the things that we did is we built up Facebook differently than we built up Discord. Discord was the puzzle solving area because you could do spoilers and other things that Facebook wasn't good at. Facebook was where I hoped to teach people more about the game and the components, and also get some just intro polls done. So I was polling over there, and I was every Monday it was painstaking, but we did a welcome post where Facebook's supposed to have good tools for this, but it didn't. So I went by hand and I picked every single new person and I wrote like welcome to each one of them. And I asked a question for fun. Those actually surprised me because I actually didn't think that, for example, I'd say like what power would you want to have if you drank a potion, or what plants would you plant and which one would you make super large if you could have a plant dragon power. I mean, I was kind of surprised that people answered those, but we had people loving that stuff. So I kept doing that. So Facebook was all about a little bit more of early game theming, and Discord was puzzle checking. And then the Discord blew up during the campaign because, of course, during the campaign, that's where the puzzle checking was. So, of course, Discord went nuts. And yeah, Will's pointing out that actually in Facebook now people are sharing, I embroidered this dragon, or I painted, or it's all this really interesting arts and crafts about dragons. And then Discord is also another fun community where we're actually starting to build more channels out now where we're talking about, other fun activities. And there's a good community in both places. And there's still the Kickstarter community. Although the Kickstarter community, they come and they go. I'd say Kickstarter, you're on the wall for 23 days and then you're out of there.
Unless you don't put out an update in 7 days, and then people will come back and remind you.
Yeah, sure. And we're going to do, decent updates, I think so.
Had a few questions on Facebook, which I know you saw. So let me just ask these here. How much money did they spend on ads, social media before they launched, during the launch, and how much are they spending now? You don't have to give us actual numbers, but, just you said you weren't spending a lot beforehand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. The number up until 2 weeks before was zero.
Wow.
I know that's got to shock some people, but we didn't.
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I actually had someone reach out to me who's run Kickstarter campaigns and has spent a bunch and is like, how is that happening?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're actually social on social media, you don't have to do the ads, is what you're saying?
It doesn't work for every, it's not going to work for every case. But I will say that I built a Facebook group for Rise of Tribes. I built a Facebook group for Dwellings of Eldervale. And in each of those cases, you do what you got to do. You do a couple giveaways. You sort of build the early pre-buzz. Definitely 3 months to 6 months of I did that for my first game, to be honest with you. For What the Food, I built a Facebook group. The problem is I don't think every game can have one. Mission Catastrophe did not have a Facebook group. Maybe that's part of what it didn't have a place, to suggest weird, wacky Star Trek ship names and stuff.
Yeah.
I think some of these have already been answered, but what was your lead-in time to launch? Basically, how long did you talk about this before you launched?
It was probably about 3 months, and we would have liked 6. I once wrote this whole thing where I'd say your ideal is 12. You want to be at cons, you want to be talking about it, you want to be buzzing about it. I did 8-9 months for Dwellings, where I was like constantly working it and then showing up early at places and talking to key reviewers at key times. But that was back when you could go to cons and there wasn't as much of the COVID situation. With COVID, it's even harder. You have to get out there. I think 3 months was only possible because of Sandara's large lead-in audience, right? So we had that. We worked from that. But otherwise, I think 3 months is a little short,
You didn't have the opportunity to put this in front of people at a standard convention, right? Like this was strictly all organic, online, through social media, through the interwebs.
Yeah, 100%.
And we said that your audience built up on the Kickstarter sign up was 5,600. What about your email, your newsletter email list that usually, how big was that before you launched?
That was 2,000 prior.
Wow.
I assume it's gone higher with your coaster.
It's currently at 11,000 now.
Wow.
It was 2,000 before. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you tell people that they get something for free
Free
if they
coaster.
go on there. That
We need another show for later after the coasters have arrived to see where we go down. But hopefully we keep everyone entertained on the newsletter.
Yeah.
I think I created 2,000 emails alone just for me. So.
So we now there were ads run during the Kickstarter. So when we say that we didn't do any, just so everyone understands, we talked to a lot of Kickstarter creators who said, the thing is you can do a lot of organic, but you need to follow the organic up with a money spend, because you have people interested, and we fanned the initial, kindling, right, was there, but you have to burst that fire. So we did go to BackerKit to spend during the campaign, and it's very fascinating because I've previously worked with Breaking Games where I worked with GelUp and BackerKit, so I've seen that before, and I know they like to spend money because they want to push. And I remember the day one when they're like, so what you do is we spent only 2,000 or so before, right before the campaign. And then on day one is a gut check where you're like, are we going to spend more? And that's when you decide if you're going to put on the gas. And I will tell you, BackerKit was like, let's douse this thing. I was like, wow, hold on a second. How much are we talking here? How much do you want to spend? Right. So it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it's really important to really have worked out, what return you expect, and make sure that you're having them, if someone else is running it, super carefully monitoring that so that you're not spending money you're not getting back. Because we did, a much smaller version of this for Mission Catastrophe, and it didn't move the needle, right? Like,
so you use the same service, BackerKit?
We did. We actually pointed out to BackerKit that they didn't do anything the first time, because they were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to get this done," and they are good. But we said, "Yeah, well, last time people didn't come." They're like, "Yeah, but the last time that wasn't the right game."
Yeah.
I also will point out, by the way, okay.
I was just going to say, getting eyeballs to the campaign is super important, but you also got to have the product that they want to click the button for, right? It doesn't do you any, one without the other is a fail either way.
Right. I will say that I've seen campaigns that have like less than 10% sign up from the people that have signed up before, because you trip up whenever you have the campaign that it's not what they expected. It's not what they think they're signing up for, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Katya brought up the fact that Board Game Revolution also worked with our budget. Now, that was really awesome, and that's huge shout out to Board Game Revolution for that, because we also had run ads with Board Game Revolution for Mission Catastrophe, and we also ran ads with Board Game Revolution for Dwellings, or I had. And Dwellings worked out great. Mission Catastrophe didn't. So I was really honest with Thomas, and I said, listen, based on that return, I'm not positive, like it's a good connection. And he said that he really wanted to work with us again, and that he would give us this opportunity to, be flexible. And that's huge, right? We actually got some content creators that did the same thing, said, hey, we believe in you, right? So we're willing to do this with you. I think the rates are all going up, but it was very nice. Very nice.
It speaks a lot to your character too, right? That people are willing to not only negotiate, but not gouge you for stuff because they know you can pay it, or like, I don't know. It just goes back to your genuine nature. Like, people want to help you out because they believe in you.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. I did have some people who said, if you need some kind of a loan to get this thing going, which is really nice that people would put that out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you did open up Tabletopia. Well, you had it at the beginning, but it was something that you guys were running yourselves, like you had a scheduled thing, and at some point, you like opening it up just to anybody to play. So, is that necessary in this day and age, or you think that was a big hit, or you should have had it open in the beginning?
So I think there's even a story before that, which is that our first development, I mean, again, we're in the time of COVID. There wasn't, opportunities to get together in person and play test like, there normally is. And so we were heavily reliant on online playtesting. And that was happening in Tabletop Simulator. And we knew that we wanted to get to the point where we could play the game, show the game to a wider group of people, whether that be players or whether that be potential partners, which is a whole nother area that we haven't talked about yet. But and that was going to work better in Tabletopia because it didn't have a requirement that somebody had to have a paid for piece of software, right, to try out the game. So it was effort to get that set up in time and convert that over to Tabletopia. We hadn't done anything in Tabletopia previously, so it was not a small effort to get that up and running. Then we did do it. We had it available to show people, but we knew that it hadn't been updated to even the latest version of the game at the time that the campaign launched. So we were reluctant for people to spend too much time in it. But we got such a huge positive, response from it that we changed our mind. We left it open, which is what you should do, right? You should listen to people. And you should reevaluate your stance. You don't just double down and say, no, this was a decision I made before. I'm right. This is how it's going to be.
That was an interesting one because to take another game, for example, imagine if you were running, and we did, Dwellings of Eldervale, right? You wouldn't put someone to try and learn those rules or something. So like my gut instinct is I should teach you the game because this will go faster. I can guarantee that the rules are going to get right. It comes from my natural inclination to share and teach. And I love sharing the game. So I put this requirement at first, which was like, you got to sign up with me. And then that was ridiculous because we had so many people who wanted to try it. And I was like, oh my God, they're all around the world. And so this other very helpful person on Discord just chimed in and said, do you want me to make like a Google sheet of all the people who want to join a demo? And I'm like, okay. So they started helping me. And Brad and I talked and we realized, okay, we're going to drown if we don't open it. If we don't open it, and I think there was also posts on other threads that were like, what are they hiding? Why aren't they opening it? Which of course I want to yell at all of those and go, we're not hiding anything. It's just a matter of you want the game to be presented the way that you don't want someone to run off and go pass on bad rules. And it's just not the inclination that you want to show this prototype looking thing and have it out there and people are possibly hacking and taking it. I mean, it's not like it's a big concern, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, I don't know what happens if we just open it. But when we opened it, and this is to Brad's point, people just they were in our Discord asking questions and teaching other people. All of a sudden, it wasn't that someone played it and then left. They played it and they stayed around and they discussed strategy and they taught it to someone else. And it was like, wow, that was amazing. And to any publisher watching that's afraid to open it, this is the, we realized you should open it. You should 100% open it up.
So to me, what's weird about that is like, I imagine like if you're at a convention and you've got your game at a table and you've got maybe, 10 other tables behind you with your game, you were basically telling everybody, only come to this table. Don't look at those so that I can teach you. And they were all wanting to just go to the table, pick up the rule book and start learning themselves. And I understand that would be so stressful to worry about what's going on over there. Because if they miss a rule and they play, the first time I ever played Everdell, I messed it up royally and it was an awful experience. But because I missed one little rule, and if something like that happens, you're not there to go, oh, that's not how you do it, right? So I totally get that.
I 100%, can remember being at Gen Con when Rise of Tribes came out and running 4 tables of it,
at the same
going
time
on simultaneously and bouncing back and forth. I think Mike was there and there were a couple of other people there, trying to make sure to answer every question and do a rules explanation, for this one, and then move over to that one and that one, and then do that for, what is that, 10 plus hours a day for 4 days. And it's what you feel you have to do, because you're not going to expect them to take the game off and read through the rules in order to play it. And so that was how we came into this, thinking like, yeah, it has to be, somebody's got to guide them through it and make sure that they have a good experience. And so I think this isn't necessarily like a rule that everybody should walk away from and think like, yeah, just open it up and let everybody do whatever. It worked out well for us. It feeds back into that whole community thing again, that there were so many people that were willing to be in those, Discord channels and to help other people out and to say, yeah, sure, I'll do another game, let's pop in and I can teach. It was amazing. There wasn't an alternative though in getting it played, because Peter's plan of, well, I'll host a bunch of them and we'll get some, Brad will host a few of them and maybe Manny can jump in or whatever, was a plan that was for a much smaller audience, and probably still would have been way too much work given that everything else, was going on at that time. So,
there was a brief moment where I tried to code the Discord to have like different time zone rooms, and you'd go into the one room and you'd talk to other people, and then you'd arrange an event. And I was like, no, we just gotta open it. Got to open it because it was too many people.
But you had, like I was saying, you had the community that was there to support each other, right? Like they were willing to stick around and, oh, I can teach it. What time you're free? Like, and just people that like were supportive of the game and believed in the game and enjoyed the game and just wanted to share the dragons with people. Like, this is a good thing. You should see this thing. I want to help you see it.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but around the world, people are awake every hour of the day. It's like it's a different time everywhere. And
that
apparently
not always Central Time Zone.
No, but you have to speak to me in Central Time Zones. Otherwise, I mess it up.
Yeah, there's actually a Discord bot that we downloaded that actually tells you the time of a game that's happening in your time zone, so that you're never looking at it in a different time zone.
That's nice.
Yeah,
give that bot to Chris. Can Chris live with that bot?
One time I was late.
I don't know if you've picked up on this yet, but now Peter's answer to everything involves some kind of Discord programming or bot, or there's a Discord solution to whatever the problem is.
I mean, Discord's pretty fun.
With that audience, with that size audience now, you're going to have to start relying on some of those. I can't imagine trying to do that by just by two of you right now. I mean,
there was a question someone asked above, which we passed over, which was, how many social media people did you have? And that is, I was it. Literally, I will tell you one of the most embarrassing things about this campaign, okay? I don't know if anyone noticed it, but okay, here I am trying to make this campaign happen, and we're working together. We're like all hours of the prepping this thing. And I do this thing where when I launch a Kickstarter, I tend to put up this image that goes 7, 6, 5, 4. Like I do this image that just counts it down. It's really fun for me to do that and have people get all pumped and excited. Well, on Instagram, which is not my platform of choice, I kept forgetting to do it. So I'd be like 7. It's like, oh crap, 6, 5, and then 4. And then literally, if you looked at our Instagram during the Kickstarter, it stopped at 3. I never got back to 2 or 1 or populated our Instagram with a photo for 2 weeks into the campaign, like practically to the end of the campaign. And I felt horrible every day. I was like, there's so many messages to answer and there's so many things to do. I literally cannot go do that like 2 seconds over at Instagram or tweet. I had so many plans to do interactive tweets where I was tagging different people and tagging our previewers, which I really wanted to pay them back. and I was going to Instagram and tag with Sandara and like do all that stuff, but like rubber hits the road. That just didn't that just didn't happen. I'm like, I feel so ashamed. That's like, it was just awful. But like, that's the thing is that in Discord, I also felt like, oh my God, we're going to drown over here. So I think down in the future, if we are doing another Flamecraft, someone asked if there's going to be another Flamecraft game. There's of course going to be something in the Flamecraft universe. I'll probably get some people to help mod or do stuff, because I've noticed on other Discords, that's a technique is you actually reach out to people and say, does anyone want to help? That's
I'm drowning.
Yeah, don't drown.
Yeah,
and actually, I'm going to shout out someone who's in this chat, because Mike Vanderveen. There's a lot of people who jumped in our Discord, but Mike Vanderveen, I mean, jumped in all over Discord with, let me welcome you in the door. Let me tell you about the puzzles. Let me help you over here. Mike was amazing. So thanks. I appreciate it. And, there's tons of people who did that. There's a lot of people who were, some people would hang out in the puzzle channel. Some people would hang out in we had a wishing well challenge after a while. So there was a wishing well fun game you could play on the Discord, and people were in that channel. It was really fun to watch. It's actually really, it's just amazing to me when everyone did that, when jumped in.
So it sounds like what you're saying is the secret behind your success is a lot of work. And I don't think people want to hear that. I think people just want to hear, just click these few buttons in this order and you got your 2 million.
It's even worse than that, though, right? Because you can do a lot of work and still not be successful, right?
Yeah, that's the part. It's just like, there's people who look at this campaign and go, I did all those things. I don't understand. Like, I did the things, I put it all together. There's the people who I'm often inspired by. Like I've made very visual campaigns, the campaign page, because of, like James Hudson and makes very visual pages, and Roxley Games makes very visual pages, and IV Games makes very visual pages. And what's funny is IV Games did this whole video where they were looking at our page going, oh my God, it's amazing. And I was like, wow, that's so cool that someone thought that, right?
It's all circle, yeah.
But there's things to learn from all of those campaigns. I studied Endless Winter a lot. I mean, Endless Winter was gorgeous. I studied Hidden Leaders. Hidden Leaders was gorgeous. So I kind of definitely think that you want to look at these pages that are doing it right and then analyze what they're doing. Right.
It's the analyze part that's important, because I know a lot of people just go, oh, this page did this and this and this, so I'll put mine in here. But if you don't know why they did this, this, and this, that might not work for you. Like maybe they did A, B, C because their product benefits from that, but yours might just benefit from B, C, D, or something like that, So analyzing the page beyond just what they did, but why they did it, I think that's a big deal.
We have a special guest.
Oh,
I have a mutant bread dragon.
Mutant bread dragon. Nice.
That's funny.
Is that a corgi?
Yep.
Nice.
This is Kirby.
Hi,
I was
Kirby.
also going to say,
why I'm still sitting here.
I mean, there's another point that I'll raise, which is, you look at Hidden Leaders, for example. They had 11,000 backers. So by all means, Hidden Leaders was one of the, it was a huge success from that standpoint. But they only raised, I say only, they're like 350,000, right? That's huge. That's a huge campaign. It's not a small campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But you wonder at 11,000 if they're not like, wait, we could have done more than this. I don't know. I actually don't know that team, so I'd be curious to talk to them sometime. But I looked at it, and they went with a price point that's $25. So I think when you're going for that, you have tons of people come in and get $25, and that's what happened in that campaign. And one of the things that we definitely were looking at is, this is a game that, maybe it is, there's an entry price point, and then there's a blinged out price point. I think Cardboard Alchemy as a whole, since I back so many Kickstarters, I'm in for the minis and the coins and the bling. Almost all the time I want the stuff. I want all the cool stuff. So it's about trying to make a campaign that works for both somebody who wants to come in and just grab one thing and then also get the big thing. And I will admit that I actually came to Brad and I said, I think 80 is too high. Even though I knew the value we were putting in that big box. I was like, Brad, I'm worried that we're going too high, that we're not going to have people who want to come in all the way. But actually, 81% of the people went for the deluxe tier. And I think I heard back from people going, oh no, the value is in there. You're actually giving me color minis and full metal coins, and you're doing custom wood shapes, and there's a game trays in there, which we hardly get a chance to talk about, and all the other things going on. So I think those parts also helped, right? We decided to say there's a value that we're going to put on the deluxe product.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was actually our biggest question mark going into it was, did we get that right?
Yeah.
Because again, you can bring all the eyeballs to it. If what they see they don't like, then you're not going anywhere.
Right? It's game over if that doesn't work out.
Yeah.
The price is such a big part of it. You have to analyze, and you have to get it right too, because people have burned out a Kickstarter with shipping being wrong and not calculating the price right. And we had to bake in things like, the current freight issues right now. And I kept thinking, God, this price is too high. I hate the fact that we have to charge as much for shipping. I was actually feeling like that was our biggest flaw, was shipping. And then a bunch of people came in and said, these are really reasonable prices. Thank you very much. And I was like, well, we're offering it at the best we could get. I'm glad it's all right.
Yeah.
I think there must have been a Kickstarter right before us that was really high or something. And everyone was like, oh, thank goodness, it's normal.
So that's the magic. Come in after someone who screws it up.
That's what it is. I was actually writing down this like Venn diagram though of like when you have art fans, I think it's also you have to know who your audience is. So we kept saying like, okay, we have everybody who wants Sandar's art. What is it about? Well, what are they going to want? And we did this sort of a Venn diagram of like, okay, well, a mini or a custom piece of toast is appealing to someone who wants the cute world, but it's also appreciated by the people who want the luxification of Kickstarter pieces. So that's where Kickstarter is you're already using what Kickstarter is good at, and then you're taking this new audience and saying like, okay, this is where they overlap. Probably the areas that didn't overlap as much, and nothing against game trays, but I have a feeling game trays was not one of the overlapping. It was appreciated by the people who appreciate like deluxe games, but it was like take it or leave it by the people who are coming in fresh. Yeah. Now they were going to find out that it's amazing, and then they're going to open that and find out. Just like when you open Parks for the first time, or you open a new, you're going to be like, "Wow, this game it's awesome." But I don't think people
play to the long-term appreciation,
right?
Yeah,
and it's going in every copy that Lucky Duck is making, right? So that's going to be huge, I think, across the globe. Also, I thought.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say. Also, I thought plush was only going to be appreciated by one side as well, but actually, the plush surprised me out of everything.
That was amazing to see that happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. That's funny. The weird thing is, like, you got gold coins in there, but more than the gold coins, I can't wait to get my hands on the little toast. I don't know why. They're just so damn cute. I got to get the little toast and make little sandwiches with the meat.
Yeah. It's about when I heard. Yeah, you played a game, Chris, early on where we were playing with Jasmine, one playtester who helped us out. And Jasmine was like, "Oh my God, you have a little piece of toast. Shut up. Just take my money." Right there.
I know.
Yeah, it's funny though, because it's like toast interest here. Maybe the little meat interest right here, and the 4 other resources are like whatever. Those are nice too, I guess.
No one cares about anvils. There's no anvil champions going like, "I'm so excited." But I will tell you, it's funny when we heard the podcast that we didn't go talk to at all, but the Secret Cabal covered the Kickstarter, because I guess they cover current Kickstarters, and they're talking and they're like, the little stakes, we got to have these little stakes. And I knew right then, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I would want those little stakes. That's what I hoped people would feel.
Yep.
I mean, in the end, game hobby it's not necessary. We're just getting it because it's fun. It's exciting. So the more little things like that that just get you excited, the better.
And I think too, I was going to write this as a point, but I think we also realized we had to do flexibility. Normally on a campaign like this, I think we would have locked down that you can't add on just things separately. But we realized that people were probably going to come in and just want the book. So I want the book and I want to get out of here. I actually don't want the game, which we were kind of hoping everyone would find out the game is awesome as well. But we knew that might happen. So there are customers that are like, I just want the book and a plush. I'm done. I'm good. And we had to like try. Now that's going to be a logistical challenge at the end, but we were like, this is what we got for this campaign. I think it was important to do that.
It's so much fun. I can't wait to talk to you when that's going on.
But we're doing like different coasters, and we got bookmarks and stickers and extra pins. Oh my god!
And you said what? 56% of backers were U.S. based, so that means. I mean, is that North America based or literally just US? Because then you got to fulfill Canada and you got to fill the rest of the world, and you got BFI doing like that's going to be fun. That's going to be super fun.
Yeah, I think it switched at some point, but our top 4 were US, UK, Canada, Australia, I think. But then Germany moved up the list, and of course that's incomplete because there's a bunch of people that are dollar backers who didn't have to declare their country,
right?
Who will upgrade in the pledge manager. But yeah.
By the way, speaking of other countries, that's probably one of the coolest things with this one is that we had actually signed a deal with Lucky Duck before this game. I sort of go way back with Vince at Lucky Duck, and he said, I want to support you. And he looked at Mission Catastrophe and signed it, but we hadn't really gotten to that point yet. But he looked at Flamecraft for 2 seconds and was like, oh yes, I want that one. I want that one so bad. And then he sort of backed it, or was in its camp before having played it, and then played it and said, this is 100% what I was hoping it was, and I am going to push this all over the world, which was amazing. And I think that was a neat thing to see happen was sort of, I've never been on a camp. We've done a campaign, Rise of Tribes, where we asked some backers to translate into 14 languages, which was a lot of work, because I know someone said at the beginning, like, why don't you just do it that way? But, it's so hard to coordinate all those. And Chris had to write all those rule books. And those are so hard. But now to find a partner that's like, oh yeah, we'll take it from here. Super exciting.
Yeah, it's much more difficult to write those rule books when you don't speak those languages.
Right. Yeah.
Mike brings up a kind of a question, or not a question, but a remark here. But it's interesting that you guys brought in a good amount of people that aren't gamers. And I think it's inevitable, especially given that this is a great game. I've played it myself, that you're going to be pulling some of those people into the gaming hobby, which is amazing. But I wonder how many people are going to get the game who aren't gamers and they just want the cards and the art and all that stuff. Or is that why you did the art book? Is that like, you think they're going to play it is my question?
I think it's absolutely the case, given that Sandara and her world were the start of all of this, right? And her Instagram, her Deviant art page, her the places that people were going to see her, they weren't game focused. They were people who were going to see her art, and it's the thing that everybody sees first. So, we wanted to make sure that, as Peter said earlier, that we accommodated people who were like, oh, this is some other way to get Sandara's art. I don't care so much about a game. Some percentage of that people will be like, but maybe I'll give it a try, and then maybe they'll get hooked on gaming. Some other percentage of those people are just going to be, yeah, I want a plush, and I want those minis, and I want an art book, and that's good enough for me. And happy to accommodate all those people. Like, why wouldn't we want to sell them stuff? But yeah, for that percentage of them that are saying like, well, this is for a game, huh? I don't know about games, but I'll give it a try. Great. We all, floats all boats, right? We all want more gamers to come in.
And Manny, by the way, Manny cares so much about those people. Like Manny really was focused on, because I said to Manny, I was like, some people might just buy it and stare at the beautiful shop cards and not play it. Because I mean, I'm not even saying this as that this would be true about casual gamers. I have bought back to Kickstarters and I haven't played the game yet. So I mean, I totally know this happens. But Manny was like, I want to make sure that if they do go in, they are guided. They're not like overwhelmed. They can come in. They can learn something. So to his credit, he wanted an accessible entry point. And if this becomes people's entry point, and some people have said this will be my first game, that is amazing. That's huge. I'm so excited by that.
Yeah. The other thing that I got to totally give Manny props for. So when he brought the game to us, and we started messing with it and going into development, Peter and I think both started off with but you got to own the shops, right? Like the player has to have this vested interest in town. The shop has to be your shop, and then when other people visit it, you get stuff, right? That's how games work. That's that's the way it works, right? And Manny kept pushing back. Like he'd let us try something, and it wouldn't quite work, and he kept pulling it back to, no, the town is just the town. Like everybody's working together to make the town come together. And he was right. We had to go down those paths to satisfy Peter and I that we explored that. But he stuck to his guns, and that's what it ended up being. And I think that's totally reflected in the community around the game, right? Like the way that the atmosphere of the game, kind of came out in the community that was interested in it.
Yeah, they're all helping each other, right? They're all a community, just like the town is a community of dragons helping, toast the creme brulee and make the meat charred. Like it's emulating it.
I don't know if we're doing the community a disservice by making a game that doesn't have a single take that bone in its body, because then you play this and you go play something else, you're going to get backstabbed. But it's exciting that this works with healthy competition, and it's not, I will cut down your building, I will burn it to the ground, and then build mine on top of it. That's not that.
That's going to be the first expansion, right?
Well, I mean, there's
the arson dragon.
Yep. There's a term that a lot of gamers self-apply as Care Bear, right? That they don't want bad feelings in their games. They don't want take that. They don't want their efforts to be torn down and stuff like that. And I think that feeds a lot into gateway games. And in some cases, I'm like that as well. Even whenever I play heavy Euro games and stuff, I would rather we be on a competition level, but I don't want to have to worry about hacking you down and you hacking my stuff down. Like it's a competitive thing, but it's not a take that kind of thing. So even if they play your game and then try other games, there's plenty of games I think they'll be able to find that just don't think that all of the games outside of Flamecraft.
We could tell them to go right after this into asking for troubles, right? Because you have a brilliant game there where you don't have to hack someone up. In fact, you bump and help them out and give them their piece back. So there's plenty of games to do it.
Yeah. Right.
And we were also kind of trying to find the first game that Rada would ever cover of any game that I've ever been involved in. And thanks to Manny, this is the first one, because he didn't really want to play Dwellings of Eldervale, which is understandable.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because he doesn't like the fighting each other kind of thing, right?
Right.
I think that was another key thing in the beginning. We had a limited budget of what to spend ahead of time, and we just identified who do we want to get review copies to? Where do we think our dollar is going to go the farthest, and just trying to make the most out of that. I mean, you got to spend money on those prototypes that you're sending out, and you're doing it, in a rush. Yep. To try and get the latest, best example of what your game is going to be out to these people, but get it to them far enough ahead of time that they'll come in with a review or a preview or a playthrough in time for your campaign. And, we identified some people and we made some swings of people like Rahdo, where we were like, well, he's never looked at, a game Peter's been involved with before. He didn't look at Rise of Tribes,
Missed. Yeah.
So, and sure enough, he went, yeah, no, that looks cool. I want to try that.
I actually think he would like Rise of Tribes.
We thought so too, but he thought it was too combative.
Yeah. I thought he was going to go
as combative as you make it. Yeah.
In fact, if Rahdo ever watches this, Expansity would have also been a really good one.
Oh,
I think he would have loved Expansity.
Agreed.
I'm shocked that Expansity didn't go.
Top 10 games Rahdo should have played.
That's right. I'm going to make that video.
All right. So in 2 Mondays from now, we're all going to reconvene. And we're going to do that. Great.
All right. So, question then: if you've done everything that you did on this campaign, except you didn't have Sandar's art, you had some other art, even good art, but not quite to this level, obviously, would you have had this much? How much success do you think you would have had? I know that's totally hypothetical, and how do you really answer that? But...
So, yeah, I think that's really hard because it's. I mean, her art's fantastic, but it's, we talked to her in the beginning about we were asking for use of her world, not her art, right? So it isn't just the actual drawings, it's the idea that there are these little dragons and that their magical powers are to help you make things in your town, right? So if we still had that concept, but we had someone else drawing the art, then we might have had some success, but we wouldn't have had the depth that she, put into that art, and we wouldn't have had all the time that she's been out there showing some of these early drawings as she was just sketching around in this world.
Also, kind of funny, and I don't want to downplay Sandar's world at all, because I think that it's amazing, and she's amazing. It's probably one of the best partners we've ever had, and it's just the amount she poured in is phenomenal. Okay, she believes in this world so much, and she put so much time in, and she worked so hard to keep up with the art and did all this amazing stuff. But I will tell you a funny thing is she did launch Kickstarters with this art before, and I was kind of like mini cheering that they didn't work, because if those had blown up, we would not be. I wanted the chance to take this, and I said to her, "We will show you what's possible with this world. We're going to do this thing." And along the way, she would ask questions like, "Are you sure the page should be so long? And are you sure that we should do this?" And like, hold on. It's going to be magic at the end. I'm glad we could deliver that magic, because I wasn't positive every time I answered her that we were going to. I hoped. But
this is a kind of a good question. Do you think it's partly also just the time that we're in, the cooperative feel, or the niceness of the game, even though it's a competitive game, is,
some people cited that it was really like they could get a ray of sunshine coming in, and some other people said that her world also, Sandar's world, shows this not hope, but it's just so inviting. Like, you want to go stay at the inn, you want to hang out there. And sure, some people are like in a pretty low place right now, and I was one of them for most of the summer. So
yeah,
yeah.
I was just going to say, conversely, you could reflect on the previous game, Mission Catastrophe, given the tense time that came out, where we actually, for reasons we had to back it up 2 weeks, I think, and we overlapped the U.S. election, which was a stressful time, whoever you are, whatever your feelings about it. And we were pitching to you a game where your ship was going to blow up, and if you did your best, you were going to be the only one that survived.
I mean, it's also
maybe in retrospect.
It's also so much take that. So if you want to compare the score right now to take that and non-take that obviously currently is winning. But I mean, to Mission Catastrophe's point, that we did make a cooperative mode, and a team mode so that people could have that kind of, but no one saw it that way, I don't think.
Yeah, vibe just is what comes out first, and yeah, this has a very welcoming, charming vibe in a time where people really want to embrace that. So
there's early Discord questions when no one knew much about Flamecraft other than the title would ask like, "Ooh, is there a chance that dragons can burn down the whole town?" I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
In the expansion coming summer 2022, the arson dragon will burn down.
Also, I will tell you that someone will do that, right? Because what's funny is Brad made Rise of Tribes, and we literally cut down on the aggressive part about Rise of Tribes because we found out that it's a lose-lose, right? You go take someone else's tribe out, and then you find out that another person wins because both of you. It's actually a really great lesson about how you can expend all these resources and then come out not ahead, right? Mm-hmm. But there's people who have like modified the game to have more attacking. I was like, you know what? If you guys want to do that, that's fine.
It's amazing what people can do with the Batman game. There's I hope they're still up there, but someone had modified it to be the Justice League. So Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman are all playable characters, and you can print them up and play it. Yeah. It's fascinating what people do. With Funkoverse, there were people that made full-size boards that used the regular Funko Pops. So like your entire Funko Pop collection could be in the game rather than just minis that came in.
I remember even Betrayal on the House of the Hill, people made the Scooby-Doo versions before. Yeah.
I thought about it too.
Yeah, I printed them out and played it once. It was great.
Yep. Yeah, people can be super creative.
Yeah. Okay, so secret sauce then is have someone not sleep and do all the social media and development and
don't try this at home, kids. Don't try this at home. I cut off so many relationships just to focus on this Kickstarter. It's not the best at times.
Well, you've made some new ones, obviously.
It's true. Right? There's some friends now.
29,400 and something.
Got a lot of new friends. Any other words of advice that I mean, I know that you're getting a lot of questions, people that want to, tap your brain for stuff. What can you put in this video that you can just point them to and go watch this, and it's got everything you need?
I can list.
I mean, speaking of videos, I think the trailer was pretty well done. I mean, we had what was it? I think
47,000
views and 43.5% people watched all the way to the end.
Wow.
So
I mean, there's a little bit of a tiny secret there. If you've ever gone to a Kickstarter video and it's 5 minutes, do you feel like finishing that video? No, you do not. So we go about 1.5 minutes. Do not go past that, in my personal opinion.
Thank you, Will.
It was, I got to see it before it went out, and man, like it popped everywhere. It was pretty great. I'm not just saying that because of you. I would be the first person to put you down, I think.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, the thing about those, there's another thing that Chris is really good at. Well, he'll point out sort of as a backer, I want to get these how to play gifts that just tell me really quickly. Give me the non-text version. Yeah. That's stuff that's a secret I learned from Chris a long time ago.
I was complaining about that yesterday on our last video.
That's all Chris complains about. Where's the 1, 2, 3? Where's the gifts?
It goes back to an earlier comment I said, just study other pages, ask other Kickstarter creators what they did, what they learned from. I mean, you can get a lot from interacting and finding out what their pluses and minuses and what they did.
A really good thing to do is watch Bauer rip them apart too.
Oh, it's funny. Watch him, but don't listen to everything because he's not a Kickstarter creator.
Right.
He has his preferences, and they sometimes are good.
Right, but some of the things he brings up, like making sure like the player or the price is like available, and like the video isn't too long. Like a lot of the stuff he does say is like, yeah, that's smart. That would be.
Yeah, I disagree with some of it. I mean, Bauer would want a Kickstarter page to be horizontal. He wants everything at the top. As you watch him, you just, this should be at the top. This should
It's
be
really
at the top.
funny though, because when he was going to do Flamecraft, he posted it like 3 days early. And then I got so excited that he was going to cover our page because I welcome that kind of feedback. So then I advertised that he was going to cover our page. And Ed Baraf, who runs Pencil First Games, was like, why would you possibly advertise that this person's going to rip your page apart? I was like, because I'm that confident that he's not going to have that much to rip apart, except for 1 or 2 things, which, he did say, like, why is this up? I actually listened to Forrest about several really key things. One of the things he said was, there's all that lore about the dragons. And he's like, why is this high? And I actually put that all the way at the bottom. I love to read that stuff, but he was right. That stuff should have gone at the bottom. And then the other thing that he was really right about, and this one, every campaign should take this 100% to heart, is in our first update, we were so rushed, I did not ask a question in that update. I just wrote an update. And Forrest saw that, and of course he covered us after that update and not before I wrote the next one. And I had every intention of asking questions. And he goes, why are you not asking an interactive question?
Yep.
And then every update after that, I asked, what's your favorite shop? Or what would you name a dragon? Like, if you had one question for Sandara, like, there's so many times you get people to chime in and talk to other people. And he's so right about that.
Yeah, I feel for every troll that's out there that's just going to be a troll on the internet, there are 100 people that genuinely want to share their feelings about something, whether it was something from their history or something they love about the art or their favorite dragon or their favorite color. It's really important because people want to share that stuff, and that's what helps build the community. I think that really drives home the fact that there are people watching now that are coming over from the stuff that you guys built in that part of the world.
And it wasn't just lip service. We actually named every single one of the starter dragons based on backer selected names.
Yep.
Not to mention that before we launched, we actually picked Facebook. We did a poll and we picked names for dragons. So people can feel like they have a piece of this game. And then we did a backer shop that's like just the image that Chris used to advertise this video is the backer suggested shop. So I think that's really cool.
I remember back in the days before this thing happened, you sent out what would you pick? And I was sitting upstairs on the couch watching a Ranger game, and I had this list of names, and you were like, hey, pick your 5 or whatever. I'm like, damn, they're all good. Like, even that was a struggle to figure out, if you can name a dragon. And some of them were whatever, they were just fodder and in there, and yeah, they could be cute, but man, and a lot of those are in the game. Like, a lot of those names that were there as options, not only were you went into it was so good. It was so
what's funny is that so we have a potion dragon and a plant dragon type in the game. I don't think Manny ever intended for a potion dragon to ever be called Thistle, because in his mind that would be a plant dragon.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what the community picked, and that's what set. So we put it in this. I did this thing where I would ask. So Sandara would ask on Instagram. She'd get tons of names. I would take those hundreds of names and I would put them into a document that was sort of like a giant word search. And basically, I would then send it to other people like yourself and some other people to go pick your top 10. Then I would take all the top 10s and I would hand it back to Sandara. And then she would pick out of the top 5. So she picked Thistle. And Manny was like, why is Thistle on this list? He was just like, what? It was so great. I was like, the people have spoken.
Oh, it's great. What you're saying is when I get my copy, I need Manny to sign the Thistle Dragon.
That would be hilarious. Sure.
That'd
But
be
he's
great.
also happy with, I think he's now he's named most of the world. Like I would say 99% is Manny's fun. So he's fine with a couple that, are, hey, this is what the audience wanted, Manny. This is the name.
I love those. I love those shops. Backtracking a little bit to what you said about asking a question. You told me about that a few weeks ago when we were talking, where you ask a question in your update. I send out an update for one of my things, and for the first time got responses. Usually I get crickets with updates. So yeah, just ask a question. It's pretty crazy.
It's amazing, huh? Interaction.
Yeah, I mean, it's the equivalent of sitting down across the table from somebody else.
I like Manny's chimed in about Thistle now.
Love it.
There we go.
Well, it's got history now. Thistle. You know.
Now I want to look and see if Thistle's in here.
Oh yeah, Thistle's in there.
We're gonna
By
make.
the way, there was a dragon name where Manny was like, I'll just embarrass Manny somewhere. Manny's like, I'll go to war for this name. Like this name is in the game or else. And it was Hot Dog had to be one of the names of the
Yes,
One of the meat dragons. Yeah.
hot dog.
Hot Dog.
I even put him in the trailer.
Nice.
And hot dog. Yep. So there's hot dog.
Yeah, Hot Dog's so cute. The chef
making me
dragons.
hungry.
Yeah, I mean the chef dragons are great. And there's Thistle. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't remember which version we were playing, but I was playing with Manny and on I guess Tabletopia
Manny and
yeah,
Brad.
the potion portables or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Like I immediately said that in the Jeopardy voice, and he was like, somebody gets it.
Yep, potent portables.
Yeah, I wanted to change that one because I was like, man, no one's gonna get the Jeopardy joke. But although we've had more people since then, we don't know for sure what will stay, what will not. But we listened during the campaign too because people would say, "Oh, I don't know about that name," or that one seems too U.S. centric, and so we did make some. We're still making some changes.
Yeah,
for that kind of thing.
30,000 people, somebody's going to get it, right?
Right. That's what I was about to say. 30,000 people plus because it's going to retail.
Well,
right
the funny one to me is like Hello Nursery. Like I guess I just missed that Animaniacs episode, but the amount of people that would laugh and be like, "Oh my god, I totally know that."
It's funny when I saw that Hello Nursery, I read it like Hello Kitty, so I was just like, I don't get it. And then Manny went, "Hello Nursery." I was like, "Oh, Animaniacs!" Like I had to hear the voice to it.
There's gonna be some fun Easter eggs because Sandara also is putting in like little things in the plant in the opening starter plant dragon shop. There's little if everyone hasn't seen it, there's plants that are like Super Mario Brothers plant, and there's just fun. There's Legend of Zelda in there, so it's neat stuff in there.
Wait, and which one?
That's fun.
If you look at Hello Nursery, there's at least 4 Easter eggs in there.
Oh, piranha plant.
Is that the one? Yeah, the one with the plant. Yeah.
I picked up on the piranha plant. I didn't pick up on the Zelda reference.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's gonna.
There's 4 of them in there, and I know that like there's other shops where there's gonna be fun stuff snuck in there. So.
Well, so
that's nice.
We've explored what you did for the most part, I believe. Anything else that we need to? Yeah. Well, okay. Hold on. I gotta see. So I know the plant right there. I've played Zelda many.
There's a Black Lotus. That's
Wait,
one.
where's the Zelda reference? Which is the Zelda reference?
I think it's the plant in the back, right? And I know you're not on it right now. Isn't it the tree, the little tree back there? Is that the Zelda reference? I'm not positive, actually. Or is that a different one?
Might be a different one, yeah.
Oh, that could be the island. Yeah, I don't know. That's
the audience knows because the people are pointing out more of them to me than I noticed in the first place. Sorry, Chris, you were saying something about.
Oh. Well, I was just kind of seeing if we could wrap it up to anything else that you could give advice for that you want to be able to point to.
I mean, it's cheesy, but I think just being, as you've said, as being genuine, being as transparent as you can be. We talked about the pricing and everything. We were worried. It's like just trying to make sure that
this is the answer.
That's the answer. It's toast.
Have toast.
Making sure you're giving people toast.
I have another funny story about that too, which is that when I was first making games, I made a food fight game, and I showed it to Aldo Giazzi, who's been in the business for a long time. And then I was making the second game that I was going to make, which actually was a Brad Brooks design called Letter Tycoon. And Aldo pulls me aside and he goes, "What are you doing? You make a food fight, and now you're making a word game. Do you have any idea? Like you should be making games with dragons. Make games with dragons. That's what he said to me. And then Letter Tycoon went on to win the Mensa Award, and he gave me a call and said, I was wrong. You made a beautiful, beautiful game, and it is amazing, and I was wrong about the dragons. And then I sent him a message a couple of like a week ago, and I said, Aldo, you were 100% right about the dragons. So
that's funny.
Dragons might be it, but I think it was all the things together. Hopefully, people realize that you can't just throw dragons up there and then it works.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want you to. You can't see it's behind Grogu there, but I wouldn't want you to get rid of Letter Tycoon. I think.
No, Letter Tycoon. Extremely proud of Letter Tycoon.
I may have played it more than you have.
You can spell out dragon.
It's possible.
Letter Tycoon. It works.
So, real quick question: we talked about the audience that you've built and the type of game that you have, but your next game, how much of this audience do you think you're going to pull along with you? Because this is a completely different game, right?
Right. There is some definitely some concern about that, but one of the things that we wanted to set as our company tone is we're not making the very light party games, although we enjoy those, and those are certainly we think of those ideas, right? And we're not making deeper than Dwellings of Eldervale, so not the crunchiest, and we're not making dry Euros. So we're actually trying to set our tent poles, and the idea always was that Mission Catastrophe was going to be the first lighter tent pole, and that the Dwelling style, the next sort of game of that weight, was going to be that tent pole, and we're going to work between those. As it turns out, Flamecraft came out and turned out to be a lot of people's favorite. So now we're in this position where we always intended to do a game with Luke Laurie, and we're still going to do an awesome heavy game with Luke Laurie, and we'll just see what happens. We're going to have to do a big job, I think, of explaining to people what the complexity of each game is. And so if you want to dive in to the deeper waters of gameplay, then Luke makes really accessible games too. So it's not going to be like, oh my goodness, I can't possibly parse these rules. It's going to be longer and crunchier for sure. But we're going to put up now, I think, a mix of both these things.
Well, I think what's cool is like Kickstarters take a while to deliver, right? So maybe within the year or two, depending on the world, of whenever finally Andromeda's Edge hits people's tables, maybe you'll have people who you brought into gaming with Flamecraft and have played other games and have finally found that they're going to be around that area. It'd be pretty cool.
Yep.
Full circle kind of thing.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what people do with sort of and then there's going to be some content creators who are going to be like, oh, thank goodness you're making like this heavier beast. And some people who are going to be like, hey, when's that next Flamecraft universe thing going to come out? Which I totally, I'm excited for that too. So we'll just,
when
balance it.
Flamecraft universe game coming out?
Yeah. When is the next
information? If you follow us on our newsletter or in our Discord or one of the other places to reach us, definitely tell you more as we go.
If you have a sign up link for me to put on the description, go ahead and send that to me, Peter, and I'll put that on there so we can do that.
Absolutely.
All
and
right,
you get a late pledge and get a coaster, right? So why not jump in?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, you still get the coaster if you.
Here's the funny thing about that promotion is when we launch the pledge manager is the day that I will say who's on the newsletter list. And that day is the day I'll check. So for all your 42 watchers, you can still sneak in for a coaster. Just like, come on, let's do it.
Cool. So go sign up now to get the coaster. And the coasters are on the campaign page, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing them on the update, but yeah. And then you'll get to this one, right?
Again.
So that one, we have very few of those left, but they will be in the pledge manager as well. So you can actually.
I think what he's asking is the game behind that.
Yes. We're working on that.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. I'll get it. I also want to make sure
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, Mike doesn't get any of these right because I like having things that Mike can't have.
How many are there? For the love of God!
I got a whole bunch of them.
When we did the first Kickstarter, we allowed you to order 3, 10, or 30. So
yeah, I got the 30.
I mean, come on, get me an upgrade, guys. I have a Sheridan.
Yeah, we'll cover you. Don't worry about it.
I mean, it is the Gathering. Does that hold any weight? This is from,
there you go.
From the Hotel of the Gathering.
This Alan Moon that he. Yeah, no, just kidding.
How do you know that was from the Gathering and not from the Northeastern Plumbers Association that was there the following week?
I do have Alan's autograph there. Does that count?
Oh, that's nice.
That's good.
Cool.
With the little moon on it.
I will tell you that it was really fun. I went to a convention just recently, not to get too off topic, but I went to go play Andromeda's Edge with Luke and talk about that, where it's at and everything. And people would come up to Luke for his autograph on Dwelling's rule books, which was really neat to watch that happen over and over. People would come up to him. And a couple people even said, Peter, why don't you sign it also? Which was nice. I was like, sure, I'll give it a signature. It always kind of blows you away when people want to do that, which is like, I just made this thing. I don't know why, but sure.
It's still weird to sign games. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
like,
awesome.
why do you want to reduce the value of this?
Right. All right. Well, I think we've covered it.
Fine. That'll be our maybe on Monday we'll talk to Matt about the best place to sign a game. Do you cover somebody's art? Do you do it on the inside of the book? Do you do it on the inside of the box? Interesting.
Brad always had a really good one for Letter Tycoon, which was because the Letter Tycoon was busy or hard to get on the front. So it was always on the inside, and it always said, use your words, which I thought was hilarious.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't have a signed copy. I just realized that.
Oh, we'll have to fix that someday.
We'll see each other at BGG Con. Maybe I'll bring it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. We told them everything that they need to know, so now everybody can make $2 million games on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
it's all on you.
Yep.
100%. I will also just, because some people are probably watching it just for a checklist, I also wrote down, I think, a couple of, I'll just go down my list of things really quickly.
Yeah, do it.
We did an art theme focus that I think is accessible. We did dragons, but we also fantasy. We combined that with towns and shopping, which I think is a good mix. We did diversity, which I think is understated. We didn't talk about it here, but we were open and inclusive, and that's awesome. And I want to see more games go that direction. And another shout out to Manny for pushing that so hard and making sure, because he did Sparkle Kitty the same way, and he's so great at that. And always pushing us to go further. Like, have we really thought about how much we're doing that? We did a community focus. We started a Facebook group, a Discord group. We always answered a lot of questions and communicated. We did campaign interactive things. We did puzzles. We did the naming of shops and characters. We did social goals. We did social goals that required lots of different things, everything from being involved and sharing your creativity to following other campaigns and to shouting us out to win prizes. We did a mailing list prize. We did the puzzles had a campaign prize. We picked a game that had gameplay that some people have said, oh, the gameplay is not enough. But you know what? It levels up with the player. It's a thematic Euro, and it's an accessible game. And don't discount those, because this is one of the biggest ones that's ever been on Kickstarter. And then we had a Venn diagram of what does the art community want and what does the gaming community want. And the answer is toast and minis and coins and to some degree plush and game trays. And coasters. And then we did one of the things I think was really strong. I don't know how many other teams do this, but we involve the artist and the designer in at the top, and we put their names on the box, and we make them absolutely part of the. We do not just take a game and run off with the game and develop it and not ask for that feedback. We have a Slack where the modeler can talk with the website designer, who could talk with the artist, who could talk with the animator, and that is huge for the team cohesiveness. And then we began months and months ahead and started, obviously you got to start as early as you possibly can. That's what I wrote down for some of the secret sauce.
I was going to say, you mentioned the social goals, and we talked about the social goals before. I mean, behind the scenes, we didn't know which ones were going to take off, and we were wrong about them, right? Like, I remember we had, what was it? It was the Starbucks, coffee cup one versus the make a baked good with the dragon. And we sized them because we thought, like, well, lots of people will go into the coffee cup one because that's something that people are doing day to day anyways. And, hopefully we'll get a few people that will have some baked item. And I think it was pretty much the opposite, right? Like,
yeah,
we were so blown away by how many people were willing to, spend some time baking something and take a picture of it.
Or take a picture with Manny at their dinner.
Oh, and
then that one just went. Yeah,
I
had
no idea that one was going to go crazy.
That went absolutely bonkers. People are apologizing for not coloring it, and then it was like their kid colored it, and they're like selfie with the meat. Like, it was just, It was amazing.
Here's 5 of them that I colored different ways, and
I was waiting.
No, that was amazing.
Party. I really wanted to see a Manny tea party. Like, someone set up Manny colored differently at the table with like little mini tea sets. I thought for sure we'd get one.
Maybe we'll do some new goals in Facebook, like while the thing's delivering. Like, dude, it was a lot.
You
of
got
fun.
the game, Mike. You could do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I'm on it.
Actually, it was really funny about that one is one that I did also because I went out to breakfast with 4 friends and they said, bring Manny. Sadly, they didn't invite Manny to that breakfast, but I brought Manny the dragon, and then Scott Rogers colored him in at that breakfast, and then we all took pictures. It was fun. It was really fun to do that.
The weird thing about
I think the key I was just going to say, the thing that you can take away from that is just to make sure that you're flexible in the moment. Like, don't plan yourself into a corner because you don't know what's going to take off and what's going to fall flat.
Right.
And be ready to be able to pivot and to embrace whatever it is that seems to be working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about
you could think one thing and the total opposite happens. You think the Starbucks one's going to take off, and the baking one is going to be, okay. And then all of a sudden, just on its head,
Yep.
You never know.
Just lean into it.
I saw the baking one. I didn't see the Starbucks one at first. And then I saw people doing the Starbucks. And I was like, are people just making this up? What's going on? And I had to go back and go, I missed that one. But it was such a weird thing to just randomly see people doing the cookies and all that stuff. And, at a time where I'm trying to lose weight, they're showing cookies and stuff. Right?
That fruit tart, man. That fruit tart was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Someone actually cut out the dragons in individual, like, here's a dragon out of kiwi, and it was amazing.
That was cool.
And there was a bunch of people, chanting for a cookbook prior to the Kickstarter. And if I had thought there was any way I could have pulled backer recipes together in time, we would have maybe thrown a cookbook out there. So maybe, if we... in the Facebook group, maybe we'll build recipes for the eventual cookbook. Ooh. And yes, Will, who's been in this chat, actually wrote a bunch of short stories. There's been people who've written a lot of text, different. We've had people draw dragons and write stories, which is so great. Anyway, the other thing I mentioned in another group, just as another aside on social goals, is something that Exploding Kittens taught me. They did 25 social goals, but you didn't have to do all 25 to unlock the things. They had 9 things to unlock, so you just had to do 9 of the 25 things. Mm-hmm. And I actually employed that strategy on Rise of Tribes because I didn't know if people were going to go like this or do that or whatever. So I said, you need to get 13 unlocked to unlock the mammoth. And then it becomes like, well, we didn't do that one. So what? No big deal. Built what Brad said is you should build in points of flexibility. And I did that on dwellings as well, where you could get up the track. I basically said that if you got up the track on one of them, then you can unlock any of the other ones. So that was like a free gimme of whatever one was the hardest one. Now in Flamecraft, I forgot to do that. So it was kind of like, you got to do these things. And we put up this wishing well goal of 21,000 backers.
Hey, Matt.
And I will say also that you want the social goals to be challenging. You want to put them up there and make people actually feel like that might not happen. Do they want that to happen or not? You know,
Yeah.
is it, and put goals that are not the most crucial unlock, so that you can have something that's like, well, I mean, it's spot UV. Do you really want it? I mean, if you really want it, let's all do the thing. But if you don't,
that was going to be my example. But we talked about that last night about spot UV. Like, yeah, that could be a thing, but
I mean, like we didn't do that for Flamecraft, so we actually put a lot more risk on the line for Flamecraft, and I'm so glad the community jumped in and said, let's get every one, because the wishing well would have been sad if we missed it, and there's a bunch that would have been like, oof, I don't want to miss that one, you know.
So if I understand correctly, everything that you had dreamed of for this is there. Like, you didn't miss anything.
Didn't miss anything. I remember thinking the last thing we were going to do, Brad and I talked about it, was that let's put the pin at 2 million, because the pin is something that it's not gameplay. And if we honestly do not get there, I thought we were going to get there, but I was like, if we don't get there, it's the pin. We could even still make it an add-on in the Pledge Manager if people really want it. It's not something that would be the end of the world if we missed it.
Right.
But it turned out to be the perfect $2 million goal, because everyone said, I want that pin. Surprised me, but people wanted that, like, let's unlock this thing together. And it had glitter in it, so it's this amazing pin. I think people are going to be blown away by it. And it was just what people had said. I really want it. And someone said on that moment, they said, oh, I think we're going to miss the pin. And I told them, no one's ever missed anything on a campaign that I've run, which I was hoping was true. And it's true. No one's ever missed.
It's like a badge of honor now, though, right? Like, people can put a pin on their lanyard for Gen Con or for whatever other cons they go to and be like, we did that. Like, plus you had the community to get behind it to do it too.
That was a hard one. And I think everyone who pushed for that should feel really awesome about that pin. I'm going to certainly be honored to wear it at cons as well, right? It's the Flamecraft badge of honor now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember well 1:15 a.m. of what was that, Wednesday morning or
yeah, that was pretty exciting.
All right, guys. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything you're willing to share.
Yeah.
Other than the deep secrets, but you got to keep those for yourselves, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to get
other questions
more information on the next Flamecraft game, but I don't think it's going to work. I've asked a few times. People in the chat have asked a few times. I'll let it go.
It'll be coming.
There was an image shared on your
final image we gave to everybody is a little bit of a peek, and people have been in our Discord theorizing as to what that means and what they've analyzed the image. There's some interesting imagery on some of the stones in there, and it's drawn in a slightly different style. So there's some people have been. You could come to our Discord and cook up theories with everybody else. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to pre-order, or not pre-order, but go into like backer kit or something like that at some point.
Yes. If you missed Flamecraft, you can late pledge and get all of the stuff that has been unlocked. So basically take everyone else's work and just come in. We'll welcome you into town. When we open the Pledge Manager in October, we're going to have a limited late pledge window. And if you're on our newsletter, well, there's actually a page on our website, cardboardalchemy.com/Flamecraft, where you can sign up for the late pledge. It's also a button you can click from the Kickstarter to join in. Yep. So if you do that, then you will not miss finding out about Flamecraft and get in the town.
All right, so where to find you? They know where your websites are. They know you got you on Twitter. They got the opportunity to go late pledge now. I have one final question, and maybe Chris has something. I've seen a couple things pop up in the chat just recently about some time machine. What is this time machine?
That was we needed an even farther out goal. So at 20 million, we were gonna give everyone a time machine.
I mean, you had to push. I guess I can no longer claim that everyone's hit all of the goals on campaigns I've run because we didn't hit the time machine.
Or did you? And that's how you hit the 2 million, because you went back in time. That's the real trick. You got to have a time machine.
I like it.
All right. Well, we'll end the broadcast with that. Any other questions? Go ahead and put them on comments. I'll try to remember to go back and read them. I keep forgetting, but yeah, thanks again.
But also thank you, because the real secret is all the people who chimed in, watching this, and joined us for this adventure, right? So that's the secret, is finding those people. And thank you, everybody.
Real backers. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
See you guys.